All righty, guys, welcome back to the Left of Str8 Show interviews, the premier podcast that shares the stories of our amazing LGBTQ community and, of course, fantastic straight allies, all from entertainment, foodies, books, music, and advocacy. I'm your host, as always, Scott Fullerton, and let's start talking. Well, hey, friends, welcome back to Left of Str8 Show interviews. I am thrilled to have the incredibly talented Dean Lent in studio with me today. Dean's a multifaceted artist working as a writer, director, and cinematographer in the film industry. His latest project, Feeling Randy, is a deeply personal, semi-autobiographical film that explores the complexities of identity, self-discovery, and what it means to live authentically. Dean's built a career in television and film, creating visually captivating storytelling, and his unique perspective as a filmmaker continues to break new ground in the entertainment world. Join us as I dive into his journey in the film, the inspiration behind Feeling Randy, and his creative process. But first, let's take a look.
I can't remember who thought of it, but somehow we decided we were going to go to the Kitty Ranch, this legal brothel in Nevada. And I know you gotta pay for it, but no more virgin crap.
Gotta get Randy here laid.
You wanna get laid, huh?
Yeah.
You're trying to undress her, man. You're trying to get her naked and nail her.
Right, but I'm just kind of thinking about more than that.
You know, it's not all driving around chasing girls.
It's just a house. A weird house.
You a virgin? You sure you like girls?
I feel like I've lost a piece of my brain or I'm growing a new piece really, really, really fast.
That's awesome!
What the hell is going on?
You okay?
I don't know.
All those people out there, they're just pretending. Whatever's going on, it's just the man stepping on your groove.
Come on, Randy, let's go!
That's crazy.
Well, that's life. Can you explain yourself?
Guys, we can't all go at the same time. It would look suspicious.
Yeah.
Of what?
All righty, guys, we are back. That was a sneak peek of the new film, Feeling Randy, and my special guest today in-house is the incredibly talented writer and director, Mr. Dean Lent. How you doing, sir?
I'm very good. How are you?
I'm excited to have you on the show. Thank you for a little preview. I got to see the entire movie. Congratulations, my friend. This is awesome.
Thank you so much. My pleasure.
I am a child of the 70s and 80s, so I enjoyed every bit of it. But let's start from the beginning. First time on the show. For those who haven't gotten a glimpse of the film yet, tell me a little bit about where did you grow up and what kind of a kid were you, since they haven't had this preview I have.
I grew up in San Francisco Bay Area. I was incredibly shy, introverted, and in the closet.
Weren't we all?
Yeah, right. Until I was 19.
Whereabouts in the Bay Area?
Lafayette, East
Oh,
Bay,
okay. Yeah.
other side of the hills from Berkeley.
I lived in Monterey, California for a couple of years, so I'd take little trips around there to explore. So I
Sure,
definitely
sure.
have
Yeah.
driven through it. So
We used to
nice.
go to Santa Cruz all the time.
Yeah, Santa Cruz is my favorite place in the world. I would go there before the earthquake. I would go to the Pacific Garden Mall and drive around, and there was a great three-story building there. It had like a restaurant on the bottom and a magic shop on the third floor. It was lots of fun. I love Santa
That sounds
Cruz.
cool. Yeah, that sounds cool. Me and my buddies used to go to a nude beach, and
Oh, Booney Dune.
yeah, was it like just north of the boardwalk? A
Didn't
bit?
it kind of look like Free Willy? It had like that little cove and little mountains around it to the
Yes, you had
ocean.
to walk through like a cabbage patch.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly. And a huge sand dune too. I remember that.
yeah. So we would all go
Weird.
and like try to check out the girls, or at least they did, and I pretended to.
There you go. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We definitely had different perspective when we were there. That is for sure.
Yes.
Well, tell me a little bit about this. This film is a little about exploring your identity. When did you start coming out to yourself, and when did you feel you kind of first started finding your LGBTQ tribe?
That's a very interesting long story. I kind of started exploring without coming out with my friend when I was about 13 or 14. Um, this is connected to the hot tub scene near the end. Um, we would do sleepovers as kids do, and he had me play a game with him where he would go into a trance and we would go into a story just like in the movie, and somehow we would end up with our pants down. And then he would wake up from his trance and he would ask me what happened, and I would say nothing. So it was all self-canceling. And then we just kept doing it because we were horny. And that lasted for like 3 years.
I think that's a straight boy trope that hasn't been explored, because I've had that happen a few times as well. So yeah,
Oh,
very
really?
strange.
Where you
Yes.
pretended it didn't happen and stuff?
Didn't pretend it was a trance, but kind of the same thing. Kind of pretend that either they were too high or too drunk. It's kind of the same thing, right? Or they'd go into different things, and it's like, oh, I don't remember what we did, right? So
Of
yeah, I
course.
remember
Yeah. Yeah.
remember
Oh,
that well.
yeah.
Very, very funny.
Excellent.
What brought you down to UCLA? You ended up going to film school in UCLA. Tell me about that journey. Were you always interested in film, or how did that journey come about?
Um, yeah, I love film like as a kid, like watching Disney films and stuff like that. But my real sort of like was I was 9 years old and I went to see 2001: A Space Odyssey, and I saw God and was became obsessed with Stanley Kubrick at a very young age, and just kind of saw, watched more and more films. I had a friend in high school who was actually Adam in the movie, the long-haired guy,
Oh wow,
and
yeah.
his parents were divorced, and one of them lived in Berkeley, the other one lived in the suburbs. So we used to go to the Berkeley place and go to the UC theater, and that's when I started watching like Herzog and David Lynch and what's his name, the gay German director um, that
Oh
died
God,
young.
don't give me a pop quiz right in the middle of the morning. Yeah.
Pharrell, I don't know, Fassbender, um, and all sorts of things, and that really just turned me on to film. And then when I graduated from high school, I was like a D student, C plus D student. So I had to go to junior college, and I took a film course, and because I love film, and the final for the film course was to make a little Super 8 movie, which I did, and they had a whole film festival thing where everyone showed their movie, and they were terrible, not to be mean, and it was just like, oh god, here we go, another one. And then my phone comes on, and few seconds in, everyone kind of got quiet, and it was a really weird, kooky, crazy David Lynchy film. And when it ended, everyone, it was like the standing ovation. I'm just like, what the hell? Can I swear? Can I swear in here?
You gotta love that. That's a great reception.
Yeah. And I said, I love this feeling. And I'm gonna become a filmmaker, and I'm gonna go to UCLA. So
That's
I got, A's because I had the motivation, applied, got in, boom. And I was on the dean's list, and I was a D minus student or a D student in high school.
that's an amazing story. I absolutely love that. And then talk about, how did you meet Allison and Kurt there, and tell me about Border, because oh my God, it's a great film. I'm a huge music geek back in the day. I'm not as much anymore. I'm kind of getting into it, but talk about that.
Okay, so Allison was in my project one class, and she had a guy that was going to shoot her project one, and I think I can say this. He kind of came onto her in a gross way, and she's just like, "Get out." They just had a little meeting at her house and stuff, and we just started talking, and she said, "Do you know anyone that can shoot, my movie?" And I said, "Well, I can, because I have a good eye." And we just became fast friends. And then she was obsessed with Wim Wenders, was a pen pal with him. They actually met. He came and saw our Project Ones at UCLA, and everyone's like, Wim Wenders. um, and she got us on Paris, Texas as PAs. And that was a mixed bag because being a PA is torture. We thought, oh, this is going to be great. We can watch all the, the action and the actors and the, how they make movies. But we were actually, off the set, getting coffee for the actors, picking up cigarette butts, helping wrap cable. And it's like, and we weren't getting paid. It's like, this sucks. And it was 2.5 months. It was a great experience in retrospect, but it was miserable. And after we got back, it's like, screw this. Let's make a movie.
Let's
And
not
we
be a
got a little
struggling
money.
artist yet until we learn what a struggling artist really is, right?
Yeah, and we used UCLA equipment, got free actors, our friends, and then John Doe and Christy got on board because Kurt was a punk rock freak, and he, went to all their shows and just started bugging Christy like, "You got to be in our movie, you got to be in our movie." And he's like, "Okay, let's talk." So then we got, Dave Alvin and a few texts from Texan Horseheads because everyone started like, "What is this? What is this? What is this?" And it took 4 years to make because we had no money and was stop, start. Like, Mom, can you give us $1,000? And it was very difficult. We shot the whole thing and threw out most of it because it was terrible. We kept like 5 minutes of it and built on that. And somehow it was made. And all of us felt like, the other two were directing. And they were, because it's weird when you co-direct, no one seems to be in charge.
Right.
But we all kind of were organically. It was very interesting. It was very, it's kind of a beautiful thing. And it worked. And it should not have worked.
I loved it. I saw Border Radio was the name, and I just actually interviewed Venus de Mars. I don't know if you know who that is, but a huge trans glam rocker.
Oh, cool.
Best interview I've ever had. Be a good subject for film, actually. She's absolutely amazing, and yeah, I love that kind of era and that music as well. And then you went on with Allison to do Gas, Food, and Lodging, and that's when you actually first started writing Feeling Randy. Is that correct? Is that something I read correctly?
Kind of. It got into Sundance. I went to a screening there. Blondie was sitting in front of me.
Wow.
I know. It was like, oh my God, it's Blondie. And halfway through, she turned to her friend and she said, "Oh my God, this is so beautifully shot." And I was just like, I died and gone to heaven,
Right?
And it's like, this is even better. More, just, it was just kind of really inspirational. And I wanted to do this more. And it's like, what can I do? What can I write? And I thought, okay, what if I do Gas, Food, Lodging for boys? And I thought, okay, so what happened when I was a teenager that could be interesting? It's like, oh yeah, when I lost my virginity at a whorehouse and I was gay. So, well, that sounds like an interesting, full of conflict, funny, bittersweet moment. And I just started writing it. And it took 30 years for me to learn how to write in a lot of ways. And I'd write it and and show it to people. Oh, this is kind of fun and whatever, but we don't have any money. Okay. And I just kind of kept doing that and it just kept like, this is cool, but sorry. And a couple years ago, I brought up the idea to some friends, like, should I pick this up again and just one more try? See, oh yeah, because they loved it. And I rewrote it. And I was talking to Salome, who became my producer. I shot a film that she directed years ago. And she said, "Oh, send it to me." And I did. And she's like, "Dude, we have to make this."
Nice.
And that's kind of how, and then it's sort of, rolling.
Absolutely loved it. I love that time period, as I told you before. I mean, Jonathan is one of my favorite actors of all time. Reid, as far as I'm concerned, is this generation's probably oh God, what's his name? From Third Rock from the Sun.
Oh, yes, I know him. Yeah.
Reminds
I
me
don't know what's
very
his name.
much of him. Yeah.
Ah, wow.
And I just think that you brought all this great talent together to just an amazing film. And it looked like it was just a hoot to film. I mean, do you guys have a good time on set?
Yes. Everyone, literally all of the actors were lovely. You know, because I've worked on a bunch of films as DP, like 25, and there's always like one like, oh my God, this this actor, it just destroys the whole thing. Not always, but a lot. Or, you know, just the drama and this and that. But they were all friends. They all loved working together. I don't know, just happened. Maybe it's just
Did
a
you do all
vibe
the
I got.
casting yourself? Did you bring a casting person on board, or how did you find all
Yeah,
this great diverse talent?
we had one of the producers was also very involved in casting. She brought Reid in. Um, and my Salome also knew a lot of talent, but we had no casting director per se,
Nice.
because that we couldn't afford it. Couldn't afford much. And it just kind of came together. And a lot of the talent was, you know, first time unknownish, you know, the kids, like Carice Brooks, she hadn't done anything. Um, and now she's in, you know, my old ass and is getting great reviews and stuff like that. And Tyler Lawrence Gray, who became Wolf Boy on the
Right.
TV show.
You could have had him without his shirt a couple more times, but that's just me. That's okay. We're good.
Ha! Yeah, he's got quite a physique. Um, um, but he was working at a gym making shakes. Um, and the other kid, Shane, he's now in some Star Trek or Star Wars series. He had like, you know, a short repeating role. And before that, they hadn't done anything. I mean, Reid obviously had done Joe Bell. Um,
Right.
and you know, obviously Jonathan got a big career, and Marguerite had been doing work for years. And Chris Mulkey, you know, done everything. I worked with him on Gas for Logic, so I just called him and I said, or you know, Facebooked him. And I said, "You want to be on my movie?" He said, "Sure." So that was
Nice.
easy. Yeah. Um, and then everyone was just like, you know, had done some little bits, you know, here and there, and it just all kind of came together, you know. And it was all during COVID, so everything was a Zoom interview,
Right.
you know.
Wow.
And then yeah,
Well,
I didn't meet most of them until the first day of the shoot.
that's crazy. Well, it was
Yeah.
absolutely magic. I loved all of them together, and so much. I mean, you've directed music videos before, so you've directed before. You've written before. Cinematography forever. How were you able to balance all those hats? And I don't see you credited as cinematographer. Were you able to keep out of their hair? How did that work out?
Yeah. Well, we had sort of the camera tech, lighting, you know, guy to help me because I was gonna be the DP, right? Because I couldn't let that go. And the first week, I was so busy with the actors, I would just say to him, "Okay, well, light it this way, and you know, and I'll come back and I'll fix it." So I would go off and work with the actors, and I come back, and it was like, "This looks great. Let's shoot." um,
That's amazing.
and yeah, this guy was really talented, Chris Sheffield. Um, and he just got it. He's also directed stuff too, so it just kind of just worked. Um, and he did slightly different from how I would do stuff, but I kind of liked that. And I wanted it to look slightly TV, a little bit sitcom-y, but also like a 70s movie. I didn't want it to look like, you know, these modern films now that are very like low lighting and you can't see anything, and everything's handheld. I wanted to have sort of a formal quality to it and an artifice to it, to feel like a memory of a movie from back then or a dream or whatever. Um,
It was beautifully shot. I mean, just for it had that film quality of the 70s, but it also had kind of the Brady Bunch television sensibility to it. And
There you go. So I got that right.
yeah, it was perfect. I thought the tone was amazing and it looked beautiful.
Thank you so much. I mean, I framed everything because I'm a composition nerd. Kubrick, right? Because Kubrick's my god.
I
And he's
love
Mr.
that.
Composition.
Well,
Um,
talk about now you've shot kind of a story loosely based on you. Was that something that was interesting to do? Is it something that you've done it once and you don't need to do it anymore? Or what's your approach to storytelling these days?
well, that's interesting. I mean, Brandy was semi-autobiographical, but fictionalized. I had to squeeze like 5 years into 2 weeks of psychology and shit that happened. Um, and then a lot of stuff was kind of, you know, dramatized for a movie because life is too boring. It doesn't happen like in that beautiful flowing boomity boomity boom.
Right.
Um,
Act two is
yeah,
pretty damn long before you get to act three, right? In real
yeah,
life.
yeah. And I didn't want to do like a Wim Wenders movie. no. Um, God bless him, but it's kids these days want things to move. They're used to TikTok, and I'm kind of ADD. I get bored really quick, and I have a fear of boring other people. So that's why I try to keep things moving as much as possible without the sort of like long, languid, Bergman-esque kind of thing, which of course that's brilliant too, but it's just not of this time.
Right.
But yeah, I'm writing something now, which I've been writing for 2 years since we wrapped Randy, and it's kind of based on I can't use names now because I don't want to get sued. But I had this weird relationship with a professor at UCLA who was like, I was 23 and he was like 45, and it just was very dysfunctional and kind of I mean, he had one thing he wanted, which you can imagine. It was really cute. um, and he was not. And I wanted his friendship. And it was daddy issues big time because my dad was an asshole. You met my dad in the movie.
Right.
So I was working through those issues, and he was working through his desires. And so I kind of pulled that and mixed it up. I don't want to tell you too much about it because I don't want to give it away and have someone else do it.
Right.
But that's kind of the inspiration for it.
Oh,
And it's kind of Jeffrey Epstein stuff, um, Harvey Weinstein, power to get some dick from some young person, or whatever you desire.
right.
And there's obviously there's been a lot of that in the news lately.
Yeah,
Um,
very topical for sure.
yeah, and it's horrible. And in retrospect, I'm like, how could he do that? And I was a student at UCLA. He'd have been fired now.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
going to be a great story. I'm looking forward to that. You have to let me come back when we talk about that one.
Oh yeah, yeah.
We got to start wrapping it up. We're a little short time today, but let me know, what are you hoping that audiences will take away from it? And what did you take away from it after seeing the final project? What was your first thoughts when you saw the final project that you put together there?
My first thought was, wow, this is a cool movie. That's kind of, and also that like I really felt like I got my points across. Um, that I made something beautiful for 5 cents that doesn't really look like 5 cents.
Not at
Oh,
all.
thank you. Um, and I was overjoyed. Um, I still watch the movie and I cry.
As well, you should. I think it was beautifully made, and it's a very fun story and a poignant story. There's a lot of good poignant moments in it, and I am so excited that I got to see it. So thanks again for sharing that with me. Absolutely amazing.
Oh, thank you so much.
All right, well, guys, the film is called Feeling Randy. It's premiering November 1st, is it? Let me know where it's
Yes.
premiering and where they can find it.
It's going to be at the Lumiere Music Hall in Beverly Hills. One theater, week engagement, and then it's streaming.
Nice. Well, I'm excited. Dean Lent, congratulations on the film. You got to come back many times in the projects in the future. I'm excited. Let them know where they can find you on social media or where they can follow the film.
There's an Instagram account called Feeling Randy.
Oh, great.
Feeling Randy movie. But if you type in Feeling Randy, it'll pop up.
Very, very
And
good.
it'll have all the information.
All right, super. Well, stay on the line for me, Dean. I appreciate you guys. We're excited to have you every time we have a great Left of Str8 Show interview here. Be sure to come back for us next time. Have a great week, everyone. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to The Left of Str8 Show. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast distributor, and please give us a 5-star rating so more listeners can find us. You can follow us on social media, and be sure to check out our website for contests and other news and information. See you next week.